Harper, 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 Harper. Where do I start with the resident bad bitch?
I think it's relatively obvious that Harper only cares about Harper, and I think that has been clear from the get-go.
First he says, let's talk about that press conference.
Harper doesn't care if you're sick, if your mother's dying. She does not care if your dog ate your cat.
Her and Petra decide to create a hedge fund, as you do, randomly.
If you're her friend or her best friend or her mother's brother.
And instead of her to be a sensible Sally and mind her business and wait and bide their time,
she doesn't care. She just cares about herself. And I think that's been very, very clear from season 1.
She goes full on scorched earth and decides to blow up their spot and announce their hedge fund in that conference in front of rich old white men just to stick it to Eric.
A villain is not just someone that murders someone or is, I don't know, shoot your uncle.
Let this be Kendall Roy. Kendall Roy's not winning this. Except this is Harper.
A villain can be someone who's ruthless, who doesn't care, who only bats for themselves, and that's exactly who Harper is.
I root for her the way I root for Tony Soprano. I'm sorry. I love watching a bad woman win.
Harper shoots out of her league and always expects that everything will work out for her because she believes that the world revolves around Harper and Harper alone.
To many, she may be a crook, an enemy, but for me, I love her. Well, she is a big problem, actually.
I think now we can finally confirm that there is nothing better or more ironic than going to a climate conference on a private jet. Welcome back to the Trading Desk. My name is Ebube and this is the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. Here on the Trading Desk, we delve deeper into the nuances of HBO's industry, again as a follow-up to the more detailed coverage that Bankole and Aya are doing right after the episode, which drops every Sunday night once everything airs. We're also going to be doing a little bit of preview into the next episode, as always. And I promised an amazing roster of guests. That is still the case. I'm joined by Ebuka once again. But today we have a very special guest. People, we have an actual financial regulator on the podcast today. Okay. And this financial regulator also happens to be one of my oldest friends. So please join me in welcoming both Ebuka and Michael to the podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Doing great. Lovely. It's a pleasure to be here. Talk about my favorite show.
Amazing, man. Always ready to talk about industry, always ready to talk about what our favorite unethical bankers are up to. So yeah, man. I'm here for
so we're fully referring to them as unethical now. That's have we finally crossed that Rubicon?
I think ethics don't exist at peer point. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, I don't know how. Are the actual ethical bankers actually? It's almost contradictory. Right?
No ethical bankers. You know, he's probably right, to be honest, because I feel like this is one of those shows that we think is fiction, but it's actually teaching us quite a lot about the real world. I have to say, as I kind of alluded to in some of the stuff we've been doing in the days following the episode itself, this might be the most Succession industry has ever been, right? And again, the fact that they're getting Succession comparisons is a great thing in my book, because Succession is just one of those great narratives. It's like it has like the best dialogue of any show, and I think industry is now kind of getting there, not just in terms of dialogue and speech, but in terms of narrative and tone. This show was doing a lot, and funny enough, this was the tamest episode of the season so far, yet it felt like one of the more pivotal ones, partly because Harper is back in the narrative and she's back closer to the center of the narrative. I think the show has kind of been working us towards this point. Anybody who wanted to see less of Harper, I guess I'm sorry. This is just what we're going to have to deal with now. But with that in mind, what did you guys think of the episode as a whole?
I loved it. I think one of the things everyone is saying after this episode is that it's, or at least I said, is that it's the funniest episode of the season so far. It might be one of the funniest of the entire show so far. This episode leaned in heavily on the comedy.
Okay.
And yeah, there's so many points in this episode, like you said, comedic stuff aside. There's so many points in the episode where I was impressed, quietly impressed with where the show was going and the little hints and stuff they were dropping in.
Okay, like
Yeah,
hints about where we're going, or hints about like what's going to happen with Lumi specifically.
Hints about where we're going, hints about things that have happened, looks, comments, Harper, Yaz, Otto, Petra. I feel like, yeah, there's going to be a coming together of sorts and maybe an explosion of multiple storylines at once.
Fair enough. Michael, I know you've been watching industry basically from the very beginning. This is our first time getting a chance to actually ask you about it on the podcast. So, can you actually tell us, do you root for anybody in this show? Do you just watch them be chaos agents quietly and thinking, yeah, these people are all messed up, but I'm just enjoying the story? Or do you actually have anyone you like in this show?
there's really, with all the different characters, is there really anyone to root for? Because everyone's just inherently a selfish person. Harper
Yeah.
is one of the most selfish people I've ever seen anywhere, in real life, on TV. It's like
Don't worry,
she,
we'll get to Harper today.
she listens. She doesn't mind like advancing. She doesn't mind putting you down 100%, even if she advances herself just like 1%. Like it's like when like Petra asked her like, "Is there anyone that can like take advantage of her pair point?" And she was like, and she called Yasmin's name and
She
even
didn't even
emphasized
hesitate, yo.
her middle
No.
name. She didn't have to even put her middle name. But I don't care. I know we've been through a lot, but yeah. I will put down anyone as long as it advances my cause. Not really, man. I don't know. I like Eric. I guess I just like Eric. And I like Eric because like the guy that's playing him is just acting the role so well.
Yeah.
Because it's like even like the scene where she was like when Harper tells him to look at me, like that stare when he turns to look at her was just so real. It felt like kind of thing like I would do it. So if like my mom had pissed me off and she's like, look at me, I was just like that stare was now.
Like the way he turned so
When he
sharply.
turned,
Yeah.
he was so yeah. Like it's just the show so well written. Do I root for anyone? No one in particular. They're all clowns to an extent, but they're my clowns. I love them. They're funny. I just enjoying the ride. Basically.
Yeah, like it really is a ride because I mean, even if you look at the structure of the episode in terms of the field trip aspect of it, right? I think it's something that the show probably likes doing now, where they essentially take the cast somewhere out of their comfort zone, somewhere they're usually not, to kind of allow new types of stories to brew. I say this because in season 2, episode 3, of course, we also had another field trip episode, right? That was the one where they went to that, well, wherever it was that they went to, the things that rich people be doing with money. So,
Then to
so
shoot
that,
some birds.
yeah, like there was just literally it felt like a shooting range thing. And I know we kind of, I felt like that was apt because every one of them, most of the people that we had been following from the cast at that point were essentially sitting ducks. So I thought that was very apt. And to be honest, that was also where the story started to really turn to give us the meat in terms of the business aspects, because that's when we first start to delve into Raikan. That's where Anna Gering kind of enters the picture for the first time, like in terms of like just in name. I know they actually meet her in Harper and Yasmin actually meet
And
her in episode 5, but it's funny now, like in season 3, episode 3, Anna Gering is like leaving her first orbit, which kind of feels full circle to me in a way.
And now that you even bring that up, there's an interesting parallel because in that same episode from season 2, there was something the Pierpoint investment bankers did that, I can't remember if it fucked or aided what they were doing at the shoots with Raikan. I remember they did
Okay.
something that was siloed off, as Eric was complaining about, something that went against the grain. I think they tried to hide some fundamentals about Raikan. I think that's what it was in the pitch
Yeah.
deck. Because remember, he asked her to tear a page out so the investors don't see it. Something like that. And
Yeah.
now something similar.
Which
another
is
division of
insane, by the
Pierpoint.
way.
Yeah.
Insane. That's insane behavior. Like, how are you doing
Yeah,
that?
man. Ethics
So
ethics are nothing more than a suggestion.
Yeah. Like I remember when it's just quick people because I remember when Adler he comes to like the office and he's trying to sort one or two things and then DVD comes in and is like, oh, there's been some girl in our team who's been molested. And like he doesn't care. And then he's like, oh, it's Harper and he remembers Harper. That girl that prints Biz? Oh,
He's like, oh, wow.
no. like for these bankers, if it's not printing biz, maximizing that shareholder value, bringing money on the table, they don't care. It's
That was insane. I mean, and later the same Harper comes and talks to Eric with like talks to Adler with Eric and everything, and he's just like, "You expect these poxy threats to bother me?" I mean, that man is something else. And I mean, he's mentioned a bit in this episode, right? I don't think it's an accident that he's not the one who goes to Switzerland and Eric is the one who goes instead. I feel like that's not something we should overlook here. But
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, let's not forget, like he was literally on the trading floor on the day of that IPO, so
yeah,
he has first-hand experience that this is a shit show company, and I guess that day he made the decision that what, from going forward, I'm out of this. I'm not. You're not going to see me near this company. Or
yeah. And
my
the
name
thing is,
mentioned in the same breath.
yeah, I wonder if there might be more to him actually like coming on the floor that day though, because we have a situation where everything is not going according to plan, and then Eric is not managing things the way he should. Eric is under a lot of pressure. Adler shows up to kind of request that everybody shows a bit of poise. I don't know if that was Adler not having confidence in Eric, or if that was Adler trying to sort of show himself in a way because there's something he's worried about. Because I know Eric was asking him questions like, "Yo, you already said that. Like, what's going on?" I feel like there's some stress Adler is going through that we are not sure about. And I think Wilhelmina actually alludes to that a little bit in the episode when she says that he has to take family time. I'm like, is it is
Interesting.
this kind of fishy that you're suddenly taking family time right now before this thing? And the truth is, I don't know if he would have handled things that much better. He probably would have handled it a bit better than Eric, as far as the panel is concerned. But I don't know if he would have been able to actually take on that question in a meaningfully better way. Like, I don't know if his answer would have been any more significant. I mean, what do you guys think?
Eric has fumbled 2 weeks in a row. That's all I'm saying. Like, if Eric doesn't get fired by episode 6, I will be very surprised. Like,
I really
this is
think
two
he's in
straight
danger of getting
weeks.
fired.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know.
and listen, like Eric might have fumbled the question, but I think for him, like the fact that it was Harper asking the question probably like added a lot more weight and
Yeah,
confused him a bit more than
Yes.
anyone else. And with him, when it comes to Harper, it's just a whole different ballgame. Like he
I was like,
loses his
why,
mind.
bro? Why is she controlling your life like this?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not okay? It's crazy because, you know, I feel like,
this is why I always advise against mercy. If you're going to kill someone, kill them dead. Don't fire her because of her degree. Say she was insider trading and send her to jail, and that way your life is good for the next 5-10 years. See where mercy has gotten Eric.
was that even mercy? I feel like
It
that was him
was.
think. Okay, but that implies that the main reason he fired her
Yeah.
was because of the degree thing. Like, how do we know it wasn't more? How
Like,
do we know it's not because he simply thought she was dangerous?
so that's what I'm
What about-
saying, right? If you think she's dangerous, then send her away. Find a way to get her back to America. Don't
Oh
leave her.
yeah,
Don't
it's
leave her.
definitely because he thought she was dangerous. He didn't care about her degree thing, but he's seen her act. He's seen her through everyone under the bus when she needs to, and he knows that his time will come soon enough. So of
Yeah.
course he just has to
Also,
get himself out of the firing line. Yeah.
Also, yes, the danger, and everyone has said the danger, but I think more than anything, he kind of realized that she was also stupid and harmful to her own self. Like, she thinks she's so smart and so cunning, and he can see that, oh, one day you're going to trip up and you might take me down with you because she's going to do that to Petra this season. You might take me down with you because you
I
think
keep
you're so
saying
sharp.
Petra needs to run while she still can. Like, she's not just getting in bed with this girl. She's literally like building a house. It's like, Petra, this is
Yep.
not the foundation you need.
And it's beautiful that they made sure to put that scene in the episode where they say to each other, no unilateral decisions, blah blah blah, because now it's sowing a seed
Wink, wink.
that yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, man. I feel, I mean, of course, Eric has been making questionable decisions. Starting with the Kenny thing, right? They say, oh, yeah, get rid of somebody at some point. And then he fires like he fires like an executive director literally right there at the beginning of an IPO. I actually think they were fully worse off that morning because Kenny was not there. There's no doubt about
100%.
it
Yeah.
at all.
100.
Kenny was going through a lot. Despite that, he had been leaning on Eric. Eric had been leaning on him. I know that there are a lot of people going through quite a lot at peer points, especially Rishi, who's been scratching his back. I'm looking forward to seeing more about that this weekend when episode 4 comes out, because it seems more and more clear that it's going to be a Rishi focused episode. But
I think it's been confirmed officially
yeah,
by
yeah,
Conrad
yeah.
and Mickey. Yeah.
And honestly, whatever they have cooked up will really be interesting, because I feel like Rishi is one of those people that everybody's just used to laughing at in the background. Like, we just like that he's there. We like that he's chilling. We like that he's saying outrageous things that you can just kind of overhear, right? Our best overheard lines and everything. But getting a sense of where he comes from and what's bothering him will definitely be interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. But thinking about the panel and the fact that Eric is sort of caught unawares there, I kind of want us to understand a little bit about what was going on there before Harper actually showed up and started speaking. So, actually, Michael, do you think you can kind of help us understand a little bit why Frank, the analyst, telling people to hold on the stock was a clear indicator to everybody that they should sell, and a vote of no confidence in Lumi and Pierpoint?
Yeah, I think for with Frank, the simple reason is that like it's coming from in house, right?
Yeah,
In house, like the company itself is saying, don't buy more of these shares. Like the company that is attempting to, whose role it is to get the rest of the world to buy more shares, is in
yeah,
house. One arm of the company saying, hold, don't buy more shares, and you can, and like typically, like you know that like if this wasn't an in-house arm, it would probably have been a sell. Like you can tell that what's probably bumped it up to a hold is the fact that it's in-house. So it's quite obvious to the world. It sends a clear message to the world that the fundamentals are just clearly off. Because even the guys that are meant to market these shares to the rest of the world are not telling the rest of the world to buy anymore. So I think that's why it was just so spooky, man. I think yeah, the clear thing is that the message came from inside. And to me that's insane. I'm really surprised like they allow the different arms of the bank to work so independently, because that just causes friction. Like he's just ruined the business of Eric and his team now, because there's no way if I'm like just a random shareholder outside and I see that, there's no way I'm not going to sell my shares, because that's just crazy. That's
yeah.
just
And the wording is interesting too, because it's a hold. It's like, okay, are you saying hold on buying, or are you saying hold on to the stock, right?
yeah. I
Which
think
do you
it's
think he
typically
meant in that situation?
hold onto the stock, right? It's hold. Yeah, just hold. Keep your positions, but it's like just don't buy anymore. It's like yeah, we're not still going up, because it's like fundamentals are out there. We are not too sure. It might be good, might be bad. Just stay as you are, and let's
Which,
watch.
as you said, is crazy coming from the people that are facilitating the selling and buying of the stock. It's wild. Like,
Yeah, I
how can
mean,
he do? I'm surprised they even allowed this to come out. How is he allowed to do that as a paper? He has this crazy line in the episode where he's like, "I may work for an institution, but I'm not institutionalized." I was like, "What are you saying? What are you talking about? How do you still work here?" Oh my god.
and I think you can tell from like from the first day, you can tell that like Pearpoint is a kind of company that's like pushes individualism. Adler
Yeah.
came in and you can tell he doesn't. No one cares about how's the team moving in harmony. It's who is doing what, who is doing what on their own. You just
How
how
are we
easy
getting
you are.
money? Who's printing
Yeah,
biz?
yeah, it's clear. So it's like, I mean, it's still weird to see that happening on the show for because like again, one person's move is affecting another arm of the company's like money, but like yeah, I think that's just it just shows how PairPoint is. It's just very individualistic and like everyone's just out
Yeah.
there looking out for themselves. The guy that
Especially the the sales guys, because
yeah,
they never seem to have enough information.
no.
They just don't. I mean, actually, Ebuka, how do you think the sales desk is going to be faring from here on out? I mean, obviously, there's no Kenny. Adler is doing whatever Adler is doing. They might be getting rid of Eric. Like, what do you think would happen if Eric actually got fired? Like,
Okay,
because even Jackie is not here anymore. Like, Venetia
this
is
is
there
my thing.
handling like 3 people's jobs.
Yes, so this is my thing with the entire desk. That even as dysfunctional as it was in season 1 and 2, there was never this much incest. And I'm not just talking sexual incest, I'm talking emotional and moral
Yeah,
incest. Like there's something going on with Yasmin and Eric, there's something going on with Rob and Yasmin. Like, see, because this is the second person this season that's asking Rob why go on with him and Yaz, right? Because Muck is going to ask him at some point, because we know he
yeah.
asked him in the trailer. And There's Venetia dealing with Rob and whatever is happening
Yeah.
with Nicole. There's Sweet Pea Golightly, who Yaz wants to just
Yeah.
kill. So it's like the desk is just a
Sweet
mess.
pea lightly.
Oh God, what's the name? One thing we haven't considered that you brought up with why Eric fired Harper is that I think without Harper, Eric has more of a leash to dance on the line. But when you give someone like Harper an inch, she can take a
Yeah.
mile.
Take a
So in
mile,
his
yeah.
head, it's like the desk can
100%.
maybe do one or two things that dances on the line. But if Harper was there with this Lumi situation, how desperate they all were, but there's no
Yeah.
telling what she could have done.
Oh my gosh. Harper, you know what? The truth is, she might be pure evil. Okay.
That's what it is.
She might be pure evil. Like, let's actually just talk about this for a second, because my favorite thing about her potentially being pure evil is the fact that Mickey, Conrad, and the writers have done such an amazing job of setting it up. Like, I don't even mean the brazen actions that she's taken throughout the series. I'm talking about the fact that in addition to all of that, subtly in the background, they've been kind of drip feeding us her true dark side this entire time. Like, we got something along the lines of a villain origin story in season 2, episode 5, when she tracked down her brother in Germany, right? And that's potentially industry's most depressing episode so far. Anyway, again,
Hands down.
Rishi episode coming soon. We don't know what's going to be there, but we know it's going to be wild. That episode was essentially like, it was like a moment of introspection. You see it at the end, when she's standing with Eric and DVD in that elevator, that she's come out so much colder. Like,
Yeah.
this is a new person that's just determined. And everything she does after that episode, right up until the point where Eric fires her, she has no regard for casualties. Like, she is literally a bulldozer. And her taking such a bullish stance at the panel doesn't just solidify her as someone who is potentially formidable. Like, it positions her and Petra and their new fund by association as having a completely different outlook on the entire Lumi situation from Pierpoint, and making them more attractive to anybody who is having doubts about the stock. So you can say that this was a genius move, but it was just yet another example of Harper taking everyone down around her. Like, it's like Michael said, right? She would literally, to advance herself 1%, she will take you down 100%. Like, it's insane how someone can be this callous. It's
Such
wild.
Zero
Wow.
empathy, man. It's I know funny thing about this thing is, and I'm sure you've both met people like this in your life, like people who are inherently flawed, but she's also the kind of person that a lot of people are drawn to. Have you noticed that? From episode 1,
Yeah.
people are just drawn to her. It doesn't matter if it's Jesse Bloom, if it's Eric, if it's even Yasmin, if it's Rob. People are just drawn to her.
It's because she seems like an underdog, probably.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
you
just
don't
think
you
so.
don't
Yeah.
see how deep the ambition goes. I think you just see someone like that or Harper, and you're like, oh wow, you're really a go getter, but you don't know that they will kill you in your sleep to go get. So
Because the people they're drawn in, right? They're drawn in and they hang around, and it becomes clear she's evil. But people still stick. They stick around, and stick around until she literally bites. She should until she maybe she takes like little pecks here and there, and then she takes one big bite, and then it's over. It's the same thing, because you could see
It's too
even with like
late.
with that weird sex scene she had with Rishi as well. He's also been. I mean, Rishi seems aloof of everyone. Like, right, like I don't care about anyone in this office.
Yeah.
And suddenly you see that he's clearly had some deep desire for Harper that he's been hiding for a while, that just comes out then. And things I've met people like this. I'm sure you've all met people like this who just people don't seem that impressive, but who people are just drawn to. Everyone's just drawn to her. It's just so weird. And like
It
you said,
matters to be liked at work. It really does.
yeah, Otto Mostin, he sees her once and he knows, yeah, I need this. Jesse
He's
Bloom
like,
sees
he's
her.
like he's one of the bandits.
yeah, exactly.
He has no idea how right he is.
Yeah,
And the truth is, when you're someone in Otto's position, same with Jesse last season, as much as they can pretend, blah, blah, you want someone like Harper covering your business because you know that she's going to do whatever it takes to make you money and to advance her name. So you're happy to have her on your team. It's when you work with her, that's when it's a problem. That's when you're worried. But when she's handling your money, they're like, sure, man. I know what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the name of the fund that she
Yeah.
suggests,
Leviathan.
Leviathan, so
Leviathan.
many implications there. We don't even have time to go
That's such a
into
fun name.
why that is
Speaking
such a choice.
Such a
speaking
fun
of
name. I
Harper
love it.
being evil though, that scene, the final one, obviously, you know what I'm talking about. She's talking
Yeah.
to Eric and she basically leashes him, spanks him, and yeah. She
Yeah.
when her face, her smile, I think that
That's how
whole
you
thing,
know this person is pure evil. I'm telling you.
it wouldn't look out of place in a Joker film. She was like,
Yeah.
look at me, Eric.
Look
With
at
a
me.
I
smile and
expect
a
you to pick
turn
up
of
the
the
phone
face.
every time I
That
call.
Every
smile
yeah.
was crazy. That smile was
That
insane. She looked literally
that
insane.
scene literally made me think, oh
Yeah.
my god, am I watching the same show? This has become very dark very quickly.
Yeah. Very quickly.
Exactly. And literally, my reaction to that scene, I mean, I know Ao was screaming wherever he was. But me, I was just saying, Petra, run. Like, this is your last chance to run. Whatever happens to Petra after this episode, is she has no one else to blame. I'm just saying it now so that
But
we all
but you
know.
see, this is what I mean, right? Where I said if you're Otto, anyone with money, you want Harper
Yeah.
covering your money. Because as soon as Harper brings 200 million to Petra's table, suddenly Petra is now in her corner saying, don't you think it's a bit rude to talk about her when she's sitting right? Like she went from
Exactly.
Oh
shouting at
yeah.
Harper to
When just now she was like, up until this point she's been,
yep,
leave that animus at the door. We don't need to
yep,
cheat. We just need to be better than everybody else. But then all of a sudden, she's able to show her track to Mustang and
yeah.
his guy, who I don't know that those two together, those two men. I don't know. The stuff was giving mafia. It was very weird.
The way they
Like you
walked
said,
in,
bandits.
I
Yeah,
don't
the
even think they
Yeah.
invited them in. Like she opened the door and they just bounced in. Like, yes, you will take us now.
Yeah, no, genuinely, like that's it, and this is the entitlement for me. But whatever. I mean, Harper
It's
clearly
folks.
is with it. Harper is clearly, having. She's trying. She's having these discussions in a way that she believes she should have a seat at the table, and I think Mustang sees that and respects it. Even when they're talking about Jesse Bloom, who what is up with him? Is he in jail? Because
Yeah.
it actually because we know that that Gus isn't working with him anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because this Robert said at the beginning of the episode that Gus is now in Palo Alto, which it's actually good that they gave some kind of address to that character because David Johnson, who plays Gus, has actually left the show. So I don't think we're going to be getting any more Gus. It's an
That's really
interesting
sad.
development. So for them acknowledging that at least gives us a bit of closure on Gus, so to speak. But yeah, like the similarities between Harper's early stages with Jesse Bloom and Harper's early stages with Petra. It's like she has this weird form of like courting, and in this stage, in this case, it's like it's Petra that's courting her, but Harper as a person is like steps ahead in the sense that she's making you do things and you think it's your idea, which is why I'm worried for Petra because Harper is actually like manipulating things here in ways nobody can understand.
Oh yeah.
That is a way to do. That's a perfect way to put it. She'll make you do things that you think are your idea, and because notice how differently, and I noticed it too, how differently Harper acts when Petra is complaining about Anna, and she pretends like she's thinking about it, and then she says,
Yeah.
"Maybe this just expedites your decision." I don't know. What do you think?
Just planting a seed. I don't know. What do you think? Like what?
And you know for a fact, Harper wanted to just scream, okay, this is what we're doing. Pa, 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 pa. This is the plan. But she had to let Petra get there in her own time.
No, because Anna Gehring is actually kind of a problem too. Bro, what were those terms in that contract?
Yeah.
Like, talk about a gilded cage. Like, that's so petty.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
It
It's
just shows. Man, it's just so. It just goes to show, man. Like you don't want to get involved in my unethical investing, but you want the profits. It's like, what do you stand for?
Yeah, like, nah, it's fine. Let's be done with Anna Gehring. Now we have Otto Mustang to deal with. And just before we preview the next episode a little bit and just talk about what we expect, like, can I just point out that it is so interesting / weird / entertaining / delicious in a sense to watch Otto Mustang being so eagerly invested financially in the downfall of Lumi. that is led by his godson. Like, can we understand? Like, why does he want them to fail?
So that is even like a bit of class commentary, right? Like these guys are joking
Yeah.
about this comment. They know it doesn't affect Mock's
This is
money,
just a
really.
game. It's just a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, look at my stupid godson thinking he can do something important." Ha 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 ha. You can't.
Like he he does. He knows his son. He knows his godson's a clown, whatever, and he'll be fine regardless, right? I mean, they're all from money, so it's whatever. His little pet project has failed, as it probably would anyway. Because I mean, his godson himself knew that his pet project was a joke because his lockup period was so short. He did not believe in the vision. Why would Otto Mostin believe in the vision?
I mean, he says what he says about his dad, but it's like, bro, your lockup period was
please.
very short. Like,
And
let's
it's probably
be
a
real here.
normal uncle thing, man. Otto probably told him to go invest in some very unethical, cheap, high margin stuff, and he said he wanted to do renewable energy and save the planet. So Otto is like, "You fool, you shall see."
It's okay, don't worry. All companies fail.
All companies fail.
Companies fail. Okay, looking towards episode 4 now. I actually had a bit of a chat with Bankole about it, and I asked him to describe the episode, and he gave me 4 words.
Okay.
And I quote: blood, sweat, tears, and OnlyFans.
Oh.
Oh,
What do we make of this?
what kind of words I like to hear. I mean,
This is interesting. I'm not
Rishi. With
yes.
Rishi, you know it's an intense ride, right? Like he's an intense guy, and I don't know if he's done some kind of trade or something. He's clearly involved in some deal that has him on edge. And this is a high class trader for a high class bank.
He shorted Sterling, right? Or no, he's long on Sterling.
Long Sterling,
Yeah.
There's clearly big sums involved, even for an experienced trader like him. And what would probably be big consequences. So that's the blood, that's the sweat, that's the tears. I know there's probably drugs involved to deal with the stress. A little bit of porn as well and sex just to calm things down. That's where the
My follow-up question to Banky would have been, does Treacle feature in this episode at all? Like,
I'm low-key expecting to see her. Let's be real, because Rishi, his hand is in places it should not be. Like, we know that obviously at the end of season 2 he got married, right? He in the end of season 2 he got married, and I'm pretty sure now they have a baby. I think probably he has that house too. And what is he still driving that Ferrari that he parks in like 3 spots at the same time? Dick move, by the way. Don't ever let me catch you doing that. But
that car was leased, right? Or was it DVDs that was leased?
His was bought, DVDs was leased.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rishi be spending. But yeah, I feel like he's definitely under some kind of financial stress in addition to whatever is going on emotionally. He probably gets stress hives, which is my guess as to why he keeps scratching his back. I'm just waiting for confirmation. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that because
Danny.
Yeah.
I have one question for Michael. Like, I didn't want to leave here without asking it. And it's a bit of a fun one. So, as a financial regulator, when was the first time on this show that you thought, okay, fire this babe? And with this babe, I'm referring to Harper.
Wow.
That's a very good question.
When was the first time you were like, yes, she has to go?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Let me see. Oh, that takes me back because
So from time,
from time you've suspected.
Oh God,
she was.
This babe was too bold, man. I'm just thinking about some of the things she's done.
I mean, this has nothing to even do with finance, right? But then it's the way she threw. Who was the girl, the lady who tried to help her when she fell?
Daria.
It's the way she throws Daria under the bus. Who, I don't know, might be self-righteous or whatever, but just seems like a more upstanding person, and brings Eric back because he knows.
But that's the thing. Daria,
she knows it's Eric that will help her rise.
That's take her to the dark side. So it's like,
Daria never understood Harper. If she understood Harper a little bit, she could have appealed more to her.
Daria was delusional. She thought that she was in control of that situation.
Yes.
She was not.
Everything she was saying to Harper was just like, yeah, whatever. This isn't what I'm here for. This your girl power. Blah, blah. I'm not here for this.
Even that female manager of the bank from of the branch from season 1, the one that kept having all these tense conversations with Gus, she disappeared too. Like I feel like they got rid of both of them. Like Harper
Yep.
literally, like there's like a pile of corpses in her wake.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just it now. Yeah. So to answer that question, that's when I started suspecting, right? Because it's like, I mean, that's not financial. That's not a financial regulatory problem, but more of a conduct thing, a market conduct thing. You can tell that from her conduct. I don't know the way she could just tell. Like with Harper, it's like, she doesn't want to be on the good. She wants to be on the dark side, and that's when you need to start putting your eyes on her.
One of the
Yeah,
bandits.
one of the
So
bandits.
like, okay, so you're saying it was what she did with Daria that kind of
Yeah,
pushed you
yeah,
over the edge on as to like, okay, this is when they should fire her. Not
yeah.
necessarily like later on
No, no, no.
when she's doing that trade for Jesse Bloom.
Yeah, because I mean, all that's yeah, exactly. Because at that point, it's like Eric seemed like a less ethical person, a darker guy, and then she chooses that side so clearly and directly throwing the other person under the bus, baiting her, switching her. You know, it's like this is someone who, yeah, who seems so innocent. Obviously, partly because, as Otto Moston said, she's so diminutive. Well, she's a terrier.
What a
That's
word
her
for him to
energy.
use to her
Yeah,
face.
she's a terrier. I was gonna start keep my eyes on her. She's a dangerous one. That lady, dangerous one. Yeah.
Okay, well, at this point, we just have to wait and see what comes in episode 4.
Sunday night.
I don't know exactly how much of the other people we're going to see. I'm curious to know if we see Yasmin develop at all in terms of her insecurity about her career, her relationship with Muck, which took huge steps in episode 3, and also the whole thing with the yacht, because obviously she got that call about her dad's yacht being spotted in the UK, but then she hears that they're going to be investigating, and she's just like, okay. Like her reaction isn't really that big of a reaction, and I just have Osegode's words in the back of my mind. It's like, yo, what if she actually killed this man somehow? What if she accidentally pushed him off the boat?
There is a
Who
way
knows?
Harper looks at her when that DJ
Yeah.
friend says, "Did you kill your dad?" And
Yeah.
something is there, Sha.
You just know there's something there, and
Something
Harper
about
witnessed
that
it.
boat. Yeah.
The fact that once I saw that Harper was on that boat, I was just like, wow, Yasmin next corpse. Yasmin is going down next. But I guess the death of Eric is probably, well, the figurative death of Eric is going to be the next thing, because I don't know how he's going to fare at the office. Any final thoughts, guys?
Guys, man,
Eric is
just all I
cooked,
just
man.
want to say is I just like to. I think they listen a bit. I just like to thank the writers of this podcast of the show industry for just blessing the world with this show. It's just so good. Like
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
not I'm not going to try and shit on any other show, but we've even some classic HBO shows we expected a bit of over the last couple of weeks. Like week after week, I came out disappointed. But with industry, ever since like I think I'd say episode 2 of season 2, every episode has not no wasted episode, but no wasted scenes, and that's
Yeah,
insane. No one does that.
they're writing with purpose.
No one does that in TV since like maybe like the days of 24, where like even though there were 24 episodes in the season, no scene was filler. That's the same thing here. I just like to thank them because they obviously sat down, did their work, did the writing so good, and they are trying to entertain you every second of the way. And I just thank for that. They're bringing back good old TV, you know.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
love it. I love it. It's just so good. Industry is the best thing
a
on
lot of the
TV.
best shows are people just
So,
sitting down talking, and you have that more and more in this show, which kind of what makes me reminded of stuff like Succession, because the best thing about Succession to me was always the dialogue. Like there's some scenes in Succession I can watch 100 times and it's still funny. Like I find myself laughing. It's like, why am I still laughing at this? Because you then see significance later, and it's like every single thing that happens, you have to pay attention. And I
yeah,
like that we're getting that in a show like this too. Like it's just amazing.
so
It's a joy to
supreme, man.
watch.
Because like everyone compares it to Succession, right? Oh yeah, because Succession is supposed to have some kind of benchmark. And listen, I
Yeah.
watched Succession, and for me, I think if season 5, I can't remember, it was the last season. I've seen seasons before, like maybe 3, 4 in the middle. It felt a bit. I felt it dragged a bit, you know. I personally, but with this, I
It's
don't.
not
Every
dragging at
episode,
all. Yeah.
no scene drags. Like I'm at the edge of my seat for every second of the show, and it
Yeah.
just doesn't happen anymore. Or for a show that runs for an hour, the writing is good, it's intense, and it's how it should be. fair play to them, man. Thank you. Just thank you to them, man. Great guys. Keep up the good work.
Mickey and Conrad,
Yeah.
we hail you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it for the trading desk this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Definitely go and listen to Bankole and Ayo break down the full episode 3 if you haven't already, and subscribe to our newsletter where we talk about everything from the TV episodes we love to why Harper's hair is indicative of how she's doing in life at any given point. We'll be back on the trading desk next week to break down the well-awaited Rishi episode as well. So please join us next Friday too. And yeah, we'll see you then. Have a good weekend, y'all.